How it goes, the family? Hopefully, you guys are having a great night. It's been a while since I've really gone into a rant on Instagram. I always act when the moment hits me, but it's about basically putting up when you put up your own money, you have a right to act like a boss. Great example. This is a very real simple example. When you are when you get into an Uber, all the Uber drivers are independent contractors. But in a sense, you are the boss because you're paying that person for their service and whatnot. Just like when you go into a store, in a sense, you are a boss because you're paying. You have the customer is always right mentality. So it's another thing when people go on vacation, when people start businesses, when people form relationships and that involve currency on any kind of level, you have a right to act like a boss. But then a lot of times you have certain people that get into their feelings, and because they feel like they're above other people, they talk down to people. When the majority of the time it's not really called for, from a perspective of hey, since I'm the customer and you're the Uber driver, I'm going to talk down to you like you're the lowest life on the earth. And a lot of times, Uber drivers remember you and people remember you. So when you develop a reputation, that's why not everybody is meant to be a boss, because when people develop reputations, it's just like in business. Nobody has to, unless the business has a monopoly on everything to where people have no choice but to utilize the service. Nobody has to utilize your service. Nobody has to buy your products and whatnot. So the old saying, you reap what you sow. My mindset is, if you always put out negative energy into the universe, it's going to eventually not only catch up with you, but it's eventually going to burn and stain. And if you have a reputation, reputation is very important. Not from a high school standpoint where you want to have the reputation of, I'm better than everybody, I'm the coolest person, I got the freshest clothes on and shoes on and all that nonsense, all that materialistic crap. Because remember, when you buy materialistic crap, you're making that company richer. You're not making yourself richer unless it's actually a product that you're just going to flip and sell on your own. It's a different story. It's just having different perspectives. Heck, I always joke around about this. I think if more people lived the way I lived, or if more and more people even thought the way I thought when it comes to money, I think probably most people, the economy would probably be in worse shape than it's in right now, if we're going to be honest. I mean, heck, I'm a live below your means kind of guy, and that's why I can do a certain amount of things. I've never been to run with the crowd, and even more so as an adult. That's I get further away from the crowd as much as possible, because I look and I was having a great conversation with my niece when I was down in Houston, Texas. Had a great time with her. And one thing she said that I had to agree with is that when you look at people that are your elders and they're always giving you advice, and obviously, regardless of the situation, you want to respect your elders. But if they're always giving you advice about life, but they have nothing to show, and they haven't even made any boss moves, then it's hard for the younger generation to really give you that much respect, because it's like, okay, well, either you were completely, in a sense, worthless, or you were very basic and you're proud to be basic, and you don't want the younger generation to strive to do better, because then it shows that how a lot of them took more initiative and took more risk than you. And that's why we have a lot of lesser bosses don't have as many people with a boss mindset and a boss mentality from the Gen X generation or the baby boomers generation. I'm not talking everybody from that, but a certain amount, because I never put everyone in all one umbrella, and that's just idiotic, very idiotic to do. But so how's a younger person supposed to look up to you if your only greatest biggest accomplishment was, I bought an overpriced house, or your greatest biggest accomplishment was, I bought an overpriced car? That's been done before 1,000 times, and with that being done, it's just like, okay, you made Mercedes richer and you made the bank richer, or the person who owned the property richer. So it's nothing that's really too impressive nowadays in 2021. But back to the story at hand. When you put up your own money, you have a right to act like a boss, and that's why a lot, when you're taking calculated risks from an economic standpoint, you have a right to act like a boss. So I understand, and when I say act like a boss, it's like, okay, you're saying we're gonna do this step 1, 2, 3 to 8, and this is gonna be my way, regardless if it's he or she or whatever, because I'm putting up the money, I'm putting in the time, I'm moving forward. Whether it's me developing a property, developing a business plan, developing the layout of a new franchise. You have a right to have your not only certain things done how you want it, but you have a right to be as critical as possible. Because the thing that a lot of the millennials are trying to do and are doing, not just trying to do, we know that the game is rigged for those that think as checker players, not chess players. Okay, being strategic, everybody's going to be a pawn if they don't think outside of the box. And the beautiful thing about the United States of America is you have an opportunity to think outside of the box. In certain countries in the world, you get jailed or killed for even saying something outside of line and whatnot, or outside of the box that the countries put you in. So that's why a lot of people thrive so much in the United States, because they have opportunities to think outside of the box and implement certain things outside of the box. Okay, now you have an opportunity to live inside of the box as well when it comes to job opportunities and business opportunities. However, you're putting yourself in a position to where, by doing so, do not complain about the end results. I guess that's the best way to put it. Okay, of any employer, it's not their responsibility to help you elevate the way that you want to elevate in life. That might have been true 50 to 60 years ago. That might have been true maybe even 30 years ago. But that has not been true for the last 20 years. It is on the employee to want to say to themselves, self, as as this one goofy guy I used to work with, he was, you say to yourself, self, I want to do X, Y, Z. I might be a paralegal, but you know what? Eventually I want to become a lawyer. I might be a cop, but I want to become a lawyer, and I want to become a district attorney. Or I'm in the military, but I want to run my own security service or IT company or whatnot. I'm just shooting from the breeze. Or I want to, I'm a truck driver, but I want to be my own owner operator one day. It's not the responsibility of your employer to say, okay, well, do you want to be an owner operator? You got to say to yourself, okay, well, one, maybe I do, or I maybe want to own an IT company, whatever the case may be. With the beautiful information age right now, you have an opportunity to see. I mean, heck, you even got to read it anymore. You can go on so many different podcasts and hear the stories of how business is done. That's probably one of the best things about today's world, is you have the opportunity to at least get the one-on-one aspects of how things are done, how things are conducted, from a career standpoint, from a business standpoint. So you're not blindsided as much. At least you have some sort of a one-on-one aspect of what to expect in a career or a business and whatnot. The good, the pros and the cons, because everything in life has pros and cons. But anyways, and by making those sacrifices and by putting the time and effort into it, not just the money, you have a right to act like a boss. However, you don't have a right to act like a boss. A lot of people love to do this when you don't put any, not only time into something, but don't put money into anything. Okay? Because whether people want to believe it or not, life is kind of like, I'll say, Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and Reno. And I say that, and any other place, obviously, where there's gambling, Charlestown and West Virginia. I know believe there's gambling on the boats off the Gulf Coast and whatnot, Louisiana, Mississippi, I believe, Florida. So wherever there's gambling. But life is a gamble, regardless of the situation. You're gambling when you get a new car, you got the car payment. You're gambling when you buy a house, you got the house payment. You're gambling when you rent a place, because you might not like the place, but you're locked into a lease, or you could forfeit your security deposit. You buy a property, you're signing a 15 to 30-year mortgage and whatnot. So you're locked into that. There's always risk involved in that. Getting a college degree, there's risk involved in that because it's not a guarantee of you even getting a great job. I believe there's more of a guarantee of one getting a good job if they get a skilled trade, IT certification, CDL. The list goes on and on. There's programs for that. There's actually a gateway. There's actually companies that will actually, if you pay or they pay for you to get certain certifications or whatnot, or they say, they'll reimburse you for you paying if you pass the test to get a certain specific certification. They create a contract. They're like, hey, we'll hire you on the spot. But you have to work for X amount of years, depending on the organization. It's never a one-stop shop. But a lot of certain instances, like, hey, you have to work for us for like 2 or 3 years, and then if you do that, you don't have to worry about paying back for the certification or whatnot, or even tuition reimbursement programs when it comes to college degrees and things of that nature. But my point is, at the end of the day, because I know I'm going off on a tangent here, my point at the end of the day is to basically state that when you put up the money, when you put in the time, you have the right to act like a boss. You have the right to be able to move forward. But because we live in a free country, one of the downsides is that a lot of people love to talk, but they haven't put anything in. It's kind of like that side seat driver, and you're driving your car and you're driving somebody somewhere, and they're trying to tell you how to drive. It's like I own this car, so I'm driving how I drive. I have the right to drive how I want to drive. Whether it's right or wrong is irrelevant because that's you chose to be a passenger in somebody's car. Now, obviously, it's different if it's an Uber driver, and if it's that bad, you just say pull over and let me get out. It'll be what it's going to be. But at the end of the day, no risk, no reward. Regardless if you move into a new place, starting a new job, venturing a new business, getting into a relationship with somebody, there's always going to be risks. The risks are high, and the rewards are just as high as well, or even higher, depending on the situation. So that's one of the things that holds people back, is they don't want to put the time in when it comes to the new career, the new job, the new business. They don't want to put the money in. Sometimes being overly cheap does not benefit people to grow and elevate and whatnot. I can't put it any other way. Hey, I like to be as frugal as much as the next person, but when it comes to making money moves, I'm not Mr. Frugal. I'm Mr. I take this quote from Nipsey Hussle, rest his soul. I'm the all money in kind of person, because I know that with the big risks could come a big reward. As long as it's not to the point where it's going to put me out on the street, I don't mind. So that's why I don't mind walking around and talking like a boss, because I put my time in when it comes to my businesses. I put the money in when it comes to my businesses, and I'm all about the risks and the rewards all at the same time. And if you really want to make moves in this world, you got to not only just put the time in, but you got to put the money in. Okay, having champagne taste with beer money a lot of times, and putting down beer money is not going to help elevate people in certain situations. That's just what it is. So on that note, family, have a great night. Do the great 3 free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. And as I always say, make money moves, and you're going to live broke like a fool. Take care.